I am Ignace Aleya from ToleratedCinematics.com, and today I will be showing you how I have done the animation of a Pokeball catch in Cinema 4D and After Effects. So today we will just be doing the animation in Cinema 4D, and in the fourth part we will be going over the effects in After Effects. If you want to create a Pokeball, I recommend you to watch the first two parts of this tutorial. I have a part of modeling and a part of texturing the Pokeball. If you don't feel like following these tutorials, you can also buy the Pokeball in this scene setting on our website. Link will be in the description, and then we can start right away. So what we can do now is I will just click on the Pokeball group here and go to Edit, Copy, and create a new file. And I'm just going to paste it over here. And then what I will do is go to the settings of my render settings and change the width to Full HD, so that's 1920 by 1080p. Frame rate can be 24 as I have recorded in 24 frames, and also it's cinematic plus. It's also less frames than 30, and 3D renders take a lot of time, so if you can calculate it in 24 frames instead of 30, that means that you will lose less time, so that's why I'm choosing this. Apart from that, I will change the render type to physical render engine, and that's it. I will do right now. Maybe change the frame range to all frames for later, and then we are set to go. So I will hold Ctrl and press D on the keyboard, and that will open up my preferences here. I will close, undock this and close this down because we don't need that right now. But I have my project settings here, and what I will do is also change the frames per second to 24 frames. So now we have 72 frames here, which means 3 seconds, but we will go for longer frames. I will check out my After Effects file, but for now we can just, let's take double of this, so 144, so 6 seconds, and this should be fine. Apart from that, I will add a background here, so a background object, and also a sky object. So for the sky, I will import a new material, so I'll rename this to HDRI. And now it's up to you to just find a HDR image, an HDRI image of a 360 landscape, for example, that resembles your footage, or you could make your own HDRI image. I would recommend you to look that up on Google on how to create your own, because there are multiple ways of doing it. But for me, this always takes too much time, and if I don't really need the exact reflections, just a kind of similar place, I mostly Google my HDRI images. So I just search for HDRI of the woods, for example, if I record it in woods, and yeah, stuff like that. Then I will select my luminance channel right here, and I will load my HDRI image. I will be using the fifth one here, and I will just say no here. Okay, so I have my HDRI image, and if I close this down and drag this onto my sky, my Pokeball will get the reflections of this HDRI map. Next, I will right click on my sky, go to Cinema 4D tags, and change this compositing tag and scene by camera, and I uncheck this so we don't see our sky in a render. And there we go, we have our Pokeball right here. Okay, so the Pokeball is currently, I will center this out to 0, and I will also just reset everything. And then I will import another, well, create a new material and rename this to background. And what I will do now is you have to film your footage. So how you should film it is just use a tripod. This is the easiest way of doing it. And just film a location without any people visible. So just that location, which people in the industry call a clean plate. And a clean plate is just the place where you will be doing the action, but without any actors in the scene, so you can use that as a backplate for visual effects and stuff like that. Apart from that, you should just on the same location, the same kind of camera angle, shoot your acting scenes. So we have been using the we have been doing that for catching girls with a Pokeball. You can see that video on our channel. So I currently have a still frame of that video file, and I will import that, and that's the exact place where I want the girl to be catched. So I will go to my location, and this is my frame here. So here's the girl, and I want the Pokeball to throw it over there and then catch the girl. So that's why I use that frame. Also no for this one, and just drag this onto the background object. And now what we should do is go to the Pokeball and just make sure that our scene is set up correctly. So let's change it like this. So the Z is facing the camera, the X is facing her, and the Y is facing up. Then we can import a camera, and for that camera I will just go to the object, and I can't remember which focal length that I used, but I will go for a 35 as you can see right here, or maybe 24, I'm not sure. But just try to get the exact same settings of your camera. It doesn't play a big difference in this scene because it is just such a small object here. But then what I will do is go to the Z axis of, well, the Z coordinations of the Pokeball. And then we can click on the Pokeball and just bring it to the camera. And there we go. And then maybe also bring it up like so. It should be in a position that you could think that you would be throwing it with your hands. So right over here, maybe a little bit more to the right. There we go, and we can click on these 3 buttons here and then move ahead like, let's say 3 seconds, 72 frames. There we go, and then we can bring in the X again and also the Z and bring it over to the girl. So what you should do is look at these settings correctly. So try to calculate the length of your camera to the object. So currently we have 850, and now we are going to 600, which means around 2 meters and a half that we are going to throw our Pokeball. And I think this is almost correct, so I'm going to change it to 550 and then just create another keyframe. So clicking on these keyframes, and if it's red, it means you have created a keyframe. You can see your keyframes right over here. So now we have this kind of animation. If we are going to look at our Pokeball, it's going to start off slowly, go faster, and stop slowly again, which isn't always the case. So we are going to open up our timeline curves here, F curves. There we go, we are going to position it right over here. Also, try to throw something at that distance so you have some reference of how long that takes, because I have no clue how long it should take to throw something like this. I think this is a little bit too slow, so I'll close this down like to 48 and see what that gives us. Okay, so this is better. Apart from that, I will go over here and just select the complete timeline here. So these 2 settings. Press H on the keyboard and just fill your timeline with everything that's animated. So I'm going to select, trying to select everything here so that you can see that everything is selected, and then click on linearize. So now we have a smooth animation which has a constant speed. So it starts and it stops at the same speed, and it has the same speed overall. So there we go. Now we should have it faster at the beginning and not too slow. So to do that, I will select these 2 here and click on spline here, and now we can bring these in here, bring these down like so, and see what that gives us. So it's playing around a little bit. We can bring these in and these out again. Okay, so this is okay. Then go to the Y position, and here it should have like a curve, so it's actually throwing the Pokeball. So what I will do is create a keyframe for that curve here. So at 48 keyframes, create a keyframe for the Y, and then also create a keyframe at 24. And then just bring this up like so, and bring these down. Now we have like a nice curve, and let's see what this gives us. It's way too high. And there we go. Maybe also bring this to more to the beginning. So it's getting high first and then it drops. and then just play around with the curves to see which works and which doesn't. So it should be lower, and it should also be lower. And it's really searching for something that works. So I know that I'm not doing it perfectly right now, but it's just looking to try to find something that you think could work. Maybe bring this down anyway. Or you could do it like this. And just at the end it's dropping too much, so that's not something that I want. So maybe we should try to figure out something else here. I think we're getting there slowly but surely. Okay, and then also because it's a Pokeball, it doesn't have the exact physiques of something that's actually thrown and drops, so it's going to slow down anyway because it's coming closer to the well, in the game it's a Pokemon, here it's a girl, but it's coming closer to the object to take, so that's why it should slow a little bit down. So here we have our Z and our X. I will try to move it a little bit more to the left, and there we go. And let's see. I think this is getting better. Just move up the Y here and move the X just a little bit like so. So it's touching the girl here. And this should all go faster. Okay, so I'm kind of messing up here. I'll delete this one here. I'll reset this one and this one. Okay, so I think this is going to be a lot better. It just should be faster at the beginning. So that will be the Z-axis here that we are going to try and change here. Okay, there we go. So now we have something better. And maybe we should move everything a little bit more towards the beginning. More to 28 seconds maybe. And make sure we're keeping them on the same lines here. Okay, so this is a lot better. And now move a few frames to maybe 48. So it's really searching a lot. So you can see that I'm not doing everything perfect. I'm not an animator anyway. So I'm trying to make the best of it each time. So it's just testing out things and see what you get. So move up the Y and move the X so it's more, so it touches, and then move over here so the Pokeball can actually catch her. Maybe a little bit closer to the camera and make new keyframes and see what we get. Okay, this should be a little bit faster here, so we are going to do some changes. Actually, we can just change the end so it's slowing down again. Okay, almost. And there we go. A little bit too fast. Touches and moves over here. So this is okay. And then a little bit later, so it's staying on the 48, so maybe 56. Click on the key here to make another keyframe. So it's sticking on that same movement. Just here we have a little problem. It's still moving, but we didn't change anything, and that's because we didn't linearize it. Sometimes you can get these problems, and then just select these parts here on the timeline and just click on linear, and then it will just freeze for a second. And then here it should drop down a bit slowly and faster towards the bottom. Okay, so this is weird. So what you should do here is select these last ones, click on the easy ease, and then just make this longer. And right here on the end, we shouldn't have any ease. And maybe we can drag these in just a tiny bit and make them ease longer. And drop faster because it's actually dropping a lot faster. And there we go. Move this just a little bit back here, the keyframes of the still frame here. And I'm also going to move it just a little bit up, so it's actually having still a bit of movement. There we go. Oh, I need to get this back. Okay, this was better, but it's raising too much, so less movement here. Better. And also, once you have these things, so here we have a snap. I'm not sure what this is, so I'm going to look closer. I think it's just this here that we have to close down here, and these we have to move together with these trees. So make sure these are ending at the same time. And there we go, so this should be it. And also, if you think something doesn't work, just try to look at your curves here. And if you see something that doesn't look quite normal, like if something comes to a stop, you can have something like this. So it's going to a movement, then drops or moves away. But it isn't the normal way of doing things. So it's like bouncing. So if you are throwing, it bounces, throws again, and drops. So it looks like a more or less natural movement. Of course, professional animators are going to look at this and say that I'm terribly wrong, because I'm telling you that I don't have the experience of a professional animator, so the timing is probably off. You have to do a lot more research, and I do realize that, but I have other qualities right now, and I'm trying to catch up with animation because I never feel like animating things. And these are small movements, small animations that yeah, don't really matter too much in my opinion. So it's coming close to the camera here, the Pokeball, so that's pretty cool. And touches, goes up, catches her, and then drops down. So now what we should do is some rotation of the Pokeball. So go back to the Pokeball, to the beginning of our timeline, and then just make sure that these three are selected. And then towards here, we are going to move them, well, actually towards this place here, we are going to move them, and then just make sure that we have the same correct rotation towards the girl, so it's actually opening up. And there we go. Here it should open up and close this down again. And let's see what we have. And of course, on these other keyframes, we still have these keyframes because we clicked on this key here, and this makes a keyframe for everything. So we have to remove these here, the rotations, and now it shouldn't flip out anymore. You can also check in the timeline here, so go to Window, Timeline, and just go for curves and for rotation. Sorry, I'm not sure why I'm not seeing rotation. Because I removed everything of rotation. Okay, so now that we removed every keyframe of the rotation, it's actually easier. So let's zero this out, create new keyframes at the beginning of our timeline, move ahead towards where the girl is being catched here, and then just do the same thing. So rotate it over the X here on the, and all these here. There we go. And then create new keyframes. And now we should have the rotation without any problem. Okay, and then at the bottom we can also change it like a little bit more, but not too much, because naturally it's going to rotate just a bit while dropping down. And then just go back to the timeline curves here and go to rotation, and just make sure that here it's evening out just a little bit, like so. Here we can take away our curve, and now it should be better. Perfect. So right here it still needs a little bit more time, so I'm going to try and fix that. And also remove it at the end here. Okay, and let's check this. Perfect. Okay, so now we have our throwing Pokeball, and then we should just go and open up our group of the Pokeball. Click on the top part, and then just move over here towards this point, and then just I think it's the pitch here. No, it's the bank here. Okay, so then click on this button here, move ahead a few frames, and open it up like so. Move a few other frames, click on another one, click once again on the button without changing the value, and then move a little bit more and change it back to 0. And now we should have a Pokeball that's opening up, takes girl, and drops down again. Okay, there we go. So this is our animation for the Pokeball. I think this looks all right. So you can still keep on tweaking until you have something that looks perfect. Animators take a lot of time to animate something, so unless they're like doing something over and over and over again, that they really know how to get things done. But it takes just a lot of research, a lot of testing, throw things in real life, see how they react, see how you can change that in Cinema 4D. If animating is your thing, you can really get some nice results. I must be honest, I really don't like animation, especially at this point in time. Maybe I will someday as I get better in it, but I really think that I need to know how to animate, but it's not my favorite thing to do. So we have a Pokeball that's animated over, let's say, how many frames? It drops down here, 78. So let's change our timeline to 78. And now we have the complete scene. We can actually do the same thing for our background as we did for our sky, or we can just hold Alt and click on these buttons here until we see two red dots, and now we have only our Pokeball. Let's see if the reflections are okay. If we render this out, we have our Pokeball right here, and the texturing looks perfect, even though I have done it myself. Then if it opens up, let's see if the texturing inside is still okay. Okay, awesome. So I think this looks great. Yeah, okay, so I will be doing just one more thing here. Well, no, actually we are done for the tutorial. The last thing that I will do is just save out my settings, my Pokeball. And just one thing you should make sure is that the format has a transparency option. So that's OpenEXR, which is used a lot for visual effects. But for smaller projects, I tend to go to TIFF PSD layers. TIFF is also uncompressed, so that's it's a great output format. And also PNG would be with a transparent background. So we have these two options, three options. You have even more, like Target is also okay, but let's go for TIFF right now. Change the depth to 16 bits per channel. And the one thing that's very important here is the alpha channel. So if you check that on, it's going to render without a background. If you don't check this on, it's going to render with the black background that you just saw in our test render. And that's all you should do, just save it to a location that you like. And then once you have saved it, we can start with the animation in After Effects and do all the visual effects in there, just like you can see in Catching Girls in real life. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give it a like. I'm sorry for the struggle while animating, but that way you learn from my mistakes, and I didn't want to cut that up. So hopefully you understand. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.